so close to that already. I am so frustrated. I'm so frustrated with all the me's. And I'm at the point right now where we're not going to answer any, what about me? It's time to take personal responsibility. It's time to show some personal accountability. It's time to work with and get to know your neighbors. We cannot fix it for you. If you want freedom, you have to work for it. We spend our childhood learning the do's and don'ts that our parents teach us. And unfortunately, a lot of us, our parents were lied to and deceived. I know I have my mother who is raised up in the flower child, love and peace and da-da-da. But that didn't teach me any responsibility. I got a crash course in it when I started raising my sister at age 5. All I can say is if you do not get off the couch and get out there and do something for yourself, no matter what we do or what is done at a federal level, you will never fix your state. And I think I'm going to get off the soapbox for now. Drake, I'm going to let you take over.
I kind of like that speech. This goes to something real simple. And it ain't dogs barking either. It goes to a planning to get people to the point where you are now through encouragement. That encouragement started back in the 50s. It's called the convenience generation. Those who were adults in that era, all of a sudden things were made available. The fast food idea, TV dinners, that sort of thing, was all a plan to do two things. One, make a person able to think they could cook when they couldn't, and to provide for them. This is doing things for somebody. To provide for them a way not to have to take the responsibility to learn how to produce that meal. This went further, and the furtherance of it was that people were divorced from the land, other than cutting the grass in the yard, maybe growing a few petunias or something of this nature. They were divorced from the land. Most people do not understand what it takes to start from seed, grow a crop, harvest it, and put it up. They go to the grocery and get a can of corn or something, and it does it for them. Well, there's a couple of problems with that. And the reason that they wanted to get you into the idea of that convenience is so that they could come along and literally kill you. You'll find that genetically modified organisms not only are unhealthy, but make you sicker than a dog, both physically and mentally. They put a hazardous waste from the manufacture of aluminum into the water system, tell you it's good for your teeth. The only problem with it, and it's called fluoride, is that if you put it on concrete, it'll dissolve it. So you tell me how that's good for your teeth. Then they got this other little fun and games thing. A lot of people have gone to drinking soft drinks. Coca-Cola, in case anybody out there don't know, was designed as an engine degreaser. Now, would you think about that real careful, like? You can take the Coke today and clean a battery with it. You just pour it on there. It cleans it right off, just nice and shiny and pretty. If you pour enough of it on a greasy engine, it'll also take the grease off that engine. What do you think that might be doing to your pipes? You think it might have an effect on your plumbing? There's questions here. Now, I'm going to ask everybody what they're going to do. And the reason I ask this question is drive home the point of learning to be self-sufficient a little bit. That includes growing a garden, learning how to can. That includes learning how to lay up things in advance, because you know you can't grow a garden in the wintertime, so you're going to have something to eat. So you learn how to can it. Canning ain't easy. It's a chore. It's work. Same amount of work it takes to put that stuff into a can as you get at the grocery, basically. They just do it on an industrial level. Everybody says processed foods are bad for you. Well, they are. They heat them too much. They take out too many nutrients. And sometimes they mix in what's called genetically modified organisms. So, what you're getting at the grocery may or may not be something that you really want to eat. It may or may not be something that the cat or the dog would turn their nose up at, because they know it's not good for them. They can sense it, they can smell it, they can tell. So, where does that leave us? Okay, those of us who are ready and are prepared and have been doing this work are in search of the people who would like to maybe at least, okay, and this is the very least, understand what is going on, their present situation, the structure of their government, to such an extent that they can, on a local basis, address the problems. What are the problems? You ever notice that your taxes always seem to go up and never go down? Did you ever seem to notice that wages have a tendency to go down and cost goes up? That's all planned. These people are doing you a number. It's not something that's difficult to realize and recognize. What's it take to make carrots? What does it take to make potatoes? Do you have farmers around you who raise beef? Or someone close to, say, a city where you do? Now, if you're in a city, don't tell me you can't, because you can go online and there are wall gardens where you can actually grow stuff up a wall, and there are what's called vertical gardens where you use mirrors and you stack the box gardens one on top of the other, and in a very small area you can grow a tremendous amount of food. To go along with this, I've been trying to stipulate that you're going to have interruptions. And I'd like to know where you're going to get your carrots and your potatoes, or your meat, as far as that goes, if the interruptions have anything to do with transportation of groceries or fuels. In other words, what happens if the gas station don't get his delivery like he's supposed to? Well, a lot of times they'll shut down, or you have a bag over the handle on the pump. You find out they don't get enough gas. So then you can't even go to a grocery at a distance, maybe, and get some food. Now, I've been through several disasters. When I lived in Florida, they were called hurricanes. Believe me, a hurricane does a number on things. It's about the same thing as having a bunch of tornadoes go through all at once. And there's tornadoes and hurricanes. So you get a double whammy. But here's the cool part. I knew one was coming. We plotted it, checked it, looked it over, checked the currents in the ocean, and decided to figure out where it was going. Well, it was coming pretty much right at us. It did a little loop around southern Florida and came up on the west coast of Florida, headed right at us. And I thought, that's interesting. Well, knowing 8-10 days in advance, my landlord and I had laid up groceries. We went and bought some 5-gallon gas cans and filled them up with gas and had them sitting on the porch. We was ready. So, just for the fun of it, we decided to go down and watch, because we knew everybody would go nuts. We went down to Walmart. This is a superstore now. I want you to remember that. And we got on the very outside edge of the parking lot, got to where we could see everything, and sit there and watched. It took them exactly 45 minutes, and then all of a sudden the crowd started disappearing. I said, let's go take a look. Went inside there, and anything, even some things that wasn't decent to eat, were 99% gone. They might have had 15 or 20 cans in all of their shelves. They might have had one or two things that looked like they might not be fit to eat left in the meat department. And that was it. All the water, all the batteries, all the flashlights. Yeah, they hit all that stuff. All the boots were gone. A whole bunch of clothes. They cleaned that friggin' place out. 45 minutes. It took them 3 weeks to get their next truck to resupply that store. I want you to think about that. 3 weeks. There was a lot of hungry people beginning to go to several of the local food pantries, churches, Salvation Armies, you name it. They ran out of food in about 3 days. There were people out trying to figure out what to do, walking up and down the street. My buddy and I started taking them over and showing them that, hey, there's oranges on that tree, go get you one. There's loquats on our tree, here, have a couple. There's grapefruit right there, and those are sweet. You can eat them just like they are. And we started drawing a crowd. People started coming over and knocking on the door, asking us where the food was at. We showed them how to live off the land just a little bit, and probably helped an extraordinary amount of people. And they kept coming back. They would come over, and when everything had settled down and everything was back to normal, they'd bring a few bucks over and say, thanks, man. I can't take it. What do you want me to do? Well, we made a little collection. We weren't destitute. We made a little collection thingy, and we kept all that little whatever they brought over for about a week and a half. A little coffee can, and we took it over to the Salvation Army, and took it to the person that got what's called passes and vouchers and things of this nature, where a guy that doesn't have anything can go wash his clothes, where people that need some medical assistance can get the medicines they need, that sort of thing. And so we got a double whammy. Made a deal just after that hurricane with the church. I said, I got a 1-ton truck, and it's a humongous thing, and I can haul a whole bunch of stuff in it. What do you need taken where? If you buy the gas, I'll go. I went through 15 tanks of gas in that truck in 4 days. I put something along the line of 12,000 miles on that truck, which was great. I was able to do something. All it cost was gas, and they had sufficient funds to make sure I got it, and people got the food they needed. We went out to the areas where there wasn't anything, where the hurricane had cleaned everything off. People have to realize that this kind of thing can happen to you. Oh, never in America. This ain't no way. Land of opportunity, and everything's cool, and we're so rich it don't matter. And what are you going to do if it don't work the way you think it's going to? That's the question. And I want you to look in the mirror and think about if you're responsible for anybody other than yourself, or even just yourself. What are you going to do if you get hungry and you ain't got no food? What are you going to do? You're going to waste away and starve, and, on the couch? Is that how it's going to work? I mean, this is a possibility in some areas. One of the reasons I have been in touch with the militias is to do two things. One is to make sure that they're aware of the alert status, as I was requested by the military to do, and each and every last person within the sound of my voice, especially people in militias, need to not only introduce themselves to